for your needs. This month, see our Silverado trucks in 1500, 2500, and 3500s in gas or diesel. Our Silverados have big savings with more discounts if you trade yours in. Chevrolet, together let's drive. BombChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
DeWitt County's #1 source for local news is on the air and online 24 hours a day. The latest local news stories are heard every hour on Central Illinois' news station, the Big 1520 AM and 92.3 FM WHOW. Stream live at DeWittDailyNews.com. They're also heard every hour on the station that's your easy choice, 95.9 FM WEZC. And to read the latest local news on your electronic device, including tablets, iPhones, and smartphones, go to DeWittDailyNews.com. DeWitt County's #1 source for local news is on the air, online 24 hours a day.
From the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning, and thanks for being with us on this Tuesday. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Solar development began in Lincoln a few years ago with the construction of a solar farm on Kickapoo Street. Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch explains that the purpose of that solar farm was to generate enough power to run the wastewater treatment plant. He says with the increased energy costs of late, solar has really started to grow in the Logan County community.
Yeah, so we actually started a few years back, and we put in a solar array on some property down on Kickapoo Street. And the intention for us was to gain a cost savings to the taxpayers by generating enough power to run our wastewater treatment plant. It's worked out phenomenal. There's been some mechanical issues, but overall we're saving money, and that was the intent. But that has spawned these private solar farms or arrays, and there's one on Limit Street. It's pretty big. There's people have them on their houses. We actually have a community solar array that's being built down near the wastewater treatment plant as well, and I think it's going to expand beyond that. The idea there is to feed savings back into the community and people that want to subscribe to that community solar. But we've had businesses now that are trying to put them up near their businesses, El Mazatlan, I think Tremont Bank. They're really just trying to see a savings because with the cost of utilities and what they are today, the businesses need that to survive. I've told in circles, I think I mentioned it to you earlier, my Ameren bill went from on average $300 a month, and it was $800 the previous month. And so, yeah, we've talked about solar in our household. I don't know that we're ready to pull that trigger yet, but I don't think utility rates going down is going to happen anytime soon.
The mayor states that when the city decides to build a community solar project, it can be a long process, even though it is completely and entirely internally. He notes that when it comes to residential solar, they try to make the process as easy as possible.
If we do it, then we just internally process that project and make it happen. When we do it, though, it takes a lot longer. When you're putting up like a community solar farm, some of that stuff's been going on for years. But if you are a business or a resident, you simply go out to our municipal services building, you get a permit, they'll instruct you on what the code states as far as what you can and cannot do. And then you proceed forward with your contractor. And as long as you're meeting all the guidelines, there are no problems. I mean, these things can go up within months. Some of them have taken a little longer because they've had to, some of the businesses have had to apply for tax credits, which were available at the federal government. I think some of that is changing, just given the nature of the political climate. And so it really depends on your situation, but we try to help people move as fast as they can. Solar is going up everywhere. And here in Logan County, I don't want to speak on behalf of the county board because they have their own processes, but I do sit on the Regional Planning Commission, and there's been a number of solar arrays that have gone up outside the city limits, near the highway, on farm ground, and I see them everywhere I travel now. So I don't think solar is going away. I think we're just seeing the beginning of it.
As the mayor of Lincoln, it's Welch's responsibility to have the best interests of the city at heart. He admits that too much solar development could landlock the community and make future city growth very difficult.
The county's responsibility is to represent the interests of the county, ours is the city. And you never know what will happen with the future. Like, I've spent a majority of my time in city government trying to work through, and I've even talked about it up here at IML with others about expansion of our east side of town out near Cresco, because I think that's a good opportunity for future development. If solar farms start to landlock us, then what's going to happen is our opportunities for expansion are greatly diminished. That means less businesses. We can't get that corner out there. Less opportunity for affordable housing. It's just a domino effect. So we're having those conversations. We haven't ran into an issue where it's prevented us from growing yet. But if we don't talk now about it, we're going to have a problem later.
The city of Lincoln is staying open to the financial benefits of having solar farms in the community while maintaining the need to regulate it responsibly. Heyworth Schools recently installed a new turf football field, but that is not the end of those facility upgrades. Superintendent Dr. Lisa Taylor indicates that the new scoreboard should be ready for their homecoming football game against Alton Marquette Catholic. She says the turf project ended up costing less than they had predicted, giving them the opportunity to add the scoreboard.
Yeah, we are hoping so. When I pulled in this morning, it looks like our new video board is probably 75% up. So after the initial project, and it came in really under what we had planned for the budget, we went ahead and added the video scoreboard, and we had to move our old storage shed to rearrange field events. And so we have a new storage shed that's up. It just has some graphics and some finishing touches. So we should have a video board and storage shed and be able to move all that equipment in there. Yeah, it's a video board, and we do have one in our gym. So luckily, we have people who are already trained and know how to use it. We are adding a new class for students. Deer Creek Mackinac has one where kids are kind of certified trainers in this Daktronics board and learn a lot about it, and they create a lot of the content and then publish it. And we actually pay them as student workers at games. So it's kind of a work-based learning piece too, an opportunity for kids, and we're excited about getting that up and going.
Dr. Taylor explains that while it is fun to celebrate and watch the students take pride in their school, she says it is one of the most exhausting weeks of the year for staff. She adds that Thursday will host many of the homecoming activities, including the parade, bonfire, and presentation of the homecoming court.
Of course, for every community, it's just so many traditions. And so it's fun to see, and it's just fun to be a part of, watching the students and staff dress up every day. And the elementary kids get into it too. They're probably more enthusiastic, but there's events, there's parades, there's bonfires, right? And then the dance and all of that. So that's probably the most exhausting week for high school staff. And they always say, why don't we get the Monday after homecoming off? Because everybody just needs to recover. But it's also one of those fun things, and seeing everybody come back home and class, reunions, taking tours through our buildings, and just how much things have changed in the past few years with our buildings and now our field too. It's just fun to hear their comments too. Ours is on Thursday. We've talked about moving it, and I know they're considering it for next year. So it's Thursday, and then there's a bonfire after, and then they kind of do the coronation on the field after that. So it's a little bit different than what I was used to, but it's the tradition here, and it's, just people love it and everybody comes out.
The Heyworth Hornets will take on Alton Marquette Catholic to celebrate homecoming this year. Learn more about the week-long celebration by visiting husd4.org or by finding Heyworth Schools on Facebook. The weather has been hot and dry, causing many farmers to get out and begin the harvest a little early this year. DeWitt County Sheriff Mike Walker may sound like a broken record, but he is asking drivers to be patient with large farm implements driving on roadways. He reminds that this time of year can be very stressful for farmers, especially if drivers are being unsafe.
I think we're going to see it move faster than you think. I went down to the Kenny Blacktop last week down to Warrensburg, and got there to Warrensburg and went to Kenny Blacktop in 121. There was a field that the corn had already been picked. So there's a ambitious farmer there. Looked like the corn probably was ready. So probably going to start seeing those implements. I was talking to a farmer down at Kenny over the weekend. He said there's some ear rot going on in some of the fields, and some people are getting into get that corn harvested before it falls on the ground and they can't get it. So, it's a little bit earlier than they like to, because then they got the whole issue of it being still a little bit wet and having to either dry it themselves or pay a penalty to the elevators to dry. So, but yeah, I would say, I'm not a farmer. I haven't been one used to work for one years ago, but I think you're probably right. Next week or two, we're probably going to see those implements going, and people just every year we say this: planting and harvest. When you're on these township roads and county roads, be patient with these farmers, because they got these big implements. That's their livelihood. They got to get from field to field to be able to get the corn and beans and get their crops out. If they don't get those crops out, we don't eat. That's where we get our food and things. So be patient with them.
The sheriff recommends giving yourself some extra time to get to your destination. He notes that some equipment can be so large that it is impossible to pass in some areas, and you never know where one might be.
If you're going to be traveling these roads and you got to be somewhere, give yourself a little bit extra time, because some of those implements are just so big they can't get over to let you get by until they get to certain areas. So be patient and be safe. Yeah, I mean, it's just not the county roads, it's all the roads. I mean, especially the state routes 10 and 54, there's a little bit more room there, but especially heading east on 10 and 54, you get down out by the lake where you got the hills and the twists and turns. You gotta be careful and again, be patient. Don't try to pass those things in no passing zones. I know people get behind them and they're only going 15, 20 mile an hour and think, well, I can get around them in no time and it won't be a no problem. But you never know. If you're in a no passing zone, it's a no passing zone for a reason. You never know what's coming.
It is essential to always be alert while driving and to wear a seatbelt. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Shane Steinberg here from Highway 51 Exchange, your equipment rental headquarters, south of Clinton on US 51. Check our banner